becoming an artist, which I couldn't sing. So the next best thing for me was rap music.
I'm gonna stop you right there, and I'm gonna cut it into you with this. Then I'm gonna ask you this question. All right, R&B was your first love.
Yes.
5 R&B songs that remind you of your childhood.
Bad. What's going on?
Right.
I heard that shit a lot. Barry. Something from Barry, because I heard that a lot. It's been a long time coming.
Sam Cooke. Right. Got one more.
And this one gonna trip you out. Motherfucking Bobby.
Yeah.
Motherfucking Bobby.
Bobby Brown.
Bobby.
Yeah. Which record? Which record by Bobby?
Tenderoni.
Man, listen. Between that and Rock With You, Babyface put that motherfucker on.
Yeah.
You have to live for you, because if you don't, you're living for someone else, and you're gonna be fucking miserable. And there's more than enough life to go around. You don't have to live your life for somebody else. Parents, encourage your children to be individuals, not be carbon copies of you. You know what I'm saying? I say that again. Encourage your children to be individuals. What were your thoughts on Chris Rock's viral Netflix stand-up? I'm a very big Chris Rock fan of his intelligence, more so than the humor, you know what I mean? Like, when I was coming up, starting out in the Air Force, one of the things I did, when the gang stopped one time and they had Bigger and Blacker inside, like the little bin or whatever, it was a used copy. And, you know, I never really got into Chris Rock's humor. I just thought he was just annoying as fuck. Always talking like this, like that shit, you know what I'm saying? But when I actually, you know, kind of turned off my blockers to that and just listened to what was being said, I felt like Chris was on to something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very thought out, his plan of attack. So I can appreciate him waiting, you know, the time that he did to hit us with that stand-up based off of what happened on the Oscars. Of course, you know, it's almost been a year. It's been a year since the Oscars were here, and we saw, obviously, Will lose his emotional intelligence enough to go on stage and slap Chris Rock. I mean, is there anything conspiratory going on? Possibly, you know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. We can only go by what we see. That's it. And so I'll say, like, I mean, the stand-up alone, I mean, to touch on having daughters that can be ungrateful, you know what I'm saying? Rich kids, you know what I'm saying? Which is not uncommon for that to happen. But to kind of point out the situation, even with the Jay-Z Beyonce reference, as in, like, Beyonce could work at Burger King or fast food joint, and she could still pull a nigga like Jay-Z. But Jay-Z could not work at the fast food joint and pull somebody like Beyonce to show really, I mean, what it does for me, it furthers my research into hypergamy and how shit is. You know what I'm saying? Like, a man must be made when women are born. You know what I mean? It's not, again, that's not to say that a woman is not able to enhance what she's already brought into this world with, you know what I'm saying? As far as like that, you know what I'm saying? Because be it it's a man's world, like, men are not really pressed about a woman's statistics, you know what I'm saying? Like her educational factor. I mean, I think it's dope that women want to, you know, achieve these different achievements in their lives, you know what I'm saying, scholastically, working and all that stuff. But a man is never gonna turn you down because you work at Denny's or Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, and depending on like the personality that comes with it, you know what I'm saying? But like, again, just being, like your looks. That's pretty much essentially what Chris Rock was alluding to on it. And I'm sure some of the feminists are like, that's some crock of shit and all this stuff. Like, women have to work harder, not harder for the men. And very much so, they do have to work harder as far as getting recognition for being professional. But as far as the looks go, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're really just a drop dead gorgeous woman, the world is nicer to beauty. We know this. You know what I'm saying? Like, beauty has gotten people out of a lot of shit. It's not right. It's not about fair. Fair is a place where you judge pigs. You know what I'm saying? Like what we're talking about is the world. And this is how the world, these are one of the double standards of the world. Pretty people get treated differently than people who are less attractive, unfortunately. And it's not right. By all means, I'm not saying it's right. But you'd be a fool to say that doesn't have an effect on shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I love what he touched on that. And of course, when he touched on the slap, and again, the underlying shit with Will and Jada. Of course, we know that anger was not towards Chris. Totally. Now, of course, him saying shit about Jada before, kind of, as feeling like as a husband, you're supposed to stand for your wife and all this shit. The way I see it, if it's the truth, why be upset? And if it's nonsense, why be upset? You know what I'm saying? A comedian is going to be a comedian. I don't expect a lion to do anything other than what a lion does if I go into the lion's den. You know what I'm saying? So when I come to the Oscars and a comedian roast everybody and sometimes touches nerves, like to the point where it's touching nerve. It's what a roast is. If you've watched any roast, that's how the roasts go. You know what I'm saying? To say something is fucked up. I mean, they've said jokes about Marlon Matlin, you know what I'm saying? They've said jokes about, I don't know, people with, again, special needs and shit. And it's Justin, again, they had jokes on Justin Bieber at his roast, you know what I'm saying? Like the best jokes have truth in them. You know what I'm saying? And so the way that he did it was genius to me. I mean, of course, you can feel some way about him calling Jada a bitch. It's looking at it from his perspective, coming from anger. You know what I mean? Just as much as it was and Will was coming from anger, slapping him. You know what I'm saying? But should things have been done? Should he have slapped him? Probably not, Probably should have done that. But, you know what I'm saying? As far as like referring to a woman as a bitch, and again, it goes back to the whole thing about beauty and whether beauty is it right that pretty people get out of things? You know what I'm saying? Or they get second chances or what have you, you know what I'm saying? Have an advantage. As far as saying, like saying the word, like referring to a woman as a bitch, so a lot of us have referred to women as bitches, you know what I'm saying? And for this standard, my perspective personally looking at this thing, rightfully so. It's a comedian doing a joke. And a comedian that was, caught up in this entanglement with these motherfuckers about some shit that really, like I said, it really didn't have anything to do with him. And of course, he explained the situation, how she wanted him to not do the Oscars because her husband didn't get nominated for a movie. And you don't come between the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't come between the money. You know what I mean? Like, that had nothing to do with an Oscar so white or whatever, you know what I'm saying, thing. And just a job to do. Go up there and create opportunities for other black people. And quite frankly, coming, like I said, the way he went at Will, referring to Will as Will being referred to as a bitch. And in some perspectives, yes. Yeah. You behave like a bitch. You allowed yourself to get, emotionally riled up. And in regards to what a comedian says a joke about your wife. And that could have been handled differently, sure. Backstage, hey man, let me holler at you real quick, bro. Don't ever speak about my wife or something like that. Everybody's career is all the same. we don't have these long ass, you know what I'm saying, media distractions focusing on this while something else in the world is going on under the table. That's how I look at it. That's why I say about this conspiratory shit. As you keep us focused about this slap, you're doing something else. Like, you're making this bigger than what it needs to be for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because damn sure when Tommy Lee and Kid Rock got to fighting at MTV Music Awards back in 2007, that shit wasn't all over, you know what I'm saying? Like the news trying to distract us. And it's not about the race shit, you know what I'm saying? I mean, then take it back. It very well could be about the race shit. But the point that I'm making for this is not about the race. It's more so about, like, why is this bigger? You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you compare MTV Music Awards to Oscars, yeah, okay, I get that part. I get that fucking part. But what I'm saying is that grown-ass people on television, you know what I'm saying, getting into altercations has now, become the distraction, while something that we're going to find out later on down the line, something's going on behind the scenes of the media, and that's just what it is. But overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I loved it, man. Like, he didn't do anything that I don't know for Chris Rock to do as a comedian. I love the way that Chris can pretty much be like a newspaper, you know what I'm saying, to when he performs. Like, you're going to get a thorough different perspective from a seasoned comedian, a veteran comedian who's on the stage, taught so many people how to, grace the stage. Because if you notice, when Chris Rock does a stand-up, he stays moving. He doesn't stand still. He said that one time, I think it was inside the actor's studio. You have to follow him every time that mic is moving. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's so dope about him. These little things that he'll do. And like I said, the stand-up alone was just solid performance by Chris Rock. I thought that he did what he came to do. It was supposed to be offensive as far as like the Will and the Jada shit. You know what I'm saying? And again, there's no lie told when he mentioned that they went on national damn TV talking about how his wife has sucked another kid's dick. You know what I'm saying? They didn't talk about that, but, of course, from the comedic aspect, those are great comedy points. You're not, being a comedian is like, you can possibly be like, the petty bully in middle school. When you give them a little bit, they can make it funny. That's where a lot of the comedians get their, a lot of comedians, especially in especially black comedians, a lot of them get their material can come from doing that, being able to make something so fucked up, so funny. And we're laughing at you, Will. We're laughing at you, Jada. But I don't believe that it's malicious. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's funny. I just really think that's like funny material. And that's just for me. Again, everybody may feel differently, but I thought it was funny. I thought the stand-up was great. I thought that he touched on a lot of different things. I love that he touched on the differences. I love that he said that Will has selective outrage, and which is true because a lot of people were giving him shit. And then, he chose to take it out on Chris. Kind of a weak move. Yeah, you could beat him. You can. Then again, Chris also said in his stand-up, you got pecs, I got techs. So, but I don't think he'll ever. I wouldn't think he'd shoot Will Smith or nothing like that. But, a lot of people were talking. A lot of people were talking and didn't hear anything. And then there's the same thing. Like, I was watching a video last night, and a guy, a street-looking cat, you know what I'm saying? He was like, oh, you hard now, talking about Chris. I'm like, it's a business. You know what I'm saying? It's a business move. Like, why would, it's not even hard, it's just talking about it now. You gotta let the lawyers go through, you know what I'm saying? Do what they gotta do, get that situation handled, and then he can talk about it. And that's kind of what happened. But yeah, selective outrage. And a lot of us have selective outrage, you know what I'm saying? One person can do this and we not get upset. Another person can do this and then, I think he touched on the Michael Jackson, the R. Kelly thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, R. Kelly can, we don't play any R. Kelly, but we can't stop playing Thriller and Billie Jean and shit like that. Selective outrage, roughly the same incident, you know what I'm saying? Again, everything's just about perspective. So, Chris Rock, to me, is one of the best of of this generation. If I had to say comedians that stand out to me right now, it would be Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. Yeah, really just Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle that stand out for me. I mean, I still love Mike Epps. Mike Epps, by far, is one of the few comedians that can bring me to tears laughing. You know what I'm saying? But it's more like classroom comedy. Mike Epps is. I feel like, same for Cat. Cat got a couple moments where he can bring, you know what I'm saying, like bring me to tears. Just his voice alone, just how he sounds is hilarious. What is it? Like Jay Farrell, respect to Jay Farrell, especially coming from the 757. You know what I'm saying? Like to go to the lengths of where he's gone, and you know what I'm saying? I look forward to meeting him someday and actually like giving him props straight to his face. You know what I'm saying? The fact of coming from our area and making it, being an inspiration to myself and others who, you know what I'm saying, who have aspirations on making it, to become a success in some way, shape, or form with our lives. Ricky Smiley to me is classroom comedy too. And you can never get tired of hearing Sister Bernice Jenkins, you know what I'm saying? Like go through YouTube and just prank calls by Ricky Smiley and put in Bernice Jenkins. Like it's just, that alone is just, that's comedy to me. Yeah, I mean, Steve Harvey, I love his hustle. What do I think Steve is funny to me? No, I don't really think Steve is like funny. You know what I'm saying? If I was having a church cookout or a church picnic, I would definitely hire Steve Harvey to come and speak. I mean, I'd like to hire Steve Harvey to do it. But as far as like drop dead, you know what I'm saying, that type of laughter, nah, that's more, to me, that's more Bernie Mac, that's more Mike Epps, that's more like your closers. And again, nothing against Steve, man, like he hustles his ass off and done great for himself, let alone the black community of doing things, for the father programs that he runs during the summers for kids who don't have fathers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a retreat or whatever to bring young boys in to teach them how to be men, which is so dope. Definitely an inspiration of doing things. But Cedric the Entertainer, you know what I'm saying? D.L. Hewley is another person I would put into that Chris Rock factor. You know what I'm saying? As far as like being a newspaper and being so, I would say socially intelligent, as far as what's going on within the world and being able to make comedy out of it. And I think it's, you know what I'm saying? I think it's so dope that what he does. And I'm sure there's a list of other comedians I'm not able to really think of right now. But all in all, just to close off this this topic on Chris Rock and the stand-up, I thought he did a phenomenal job. I thought he did an amazing job. I really wish that I'm with the Brilliant Idiots, how they said that, he edit, how you edit the joke and then like you edit your movie and then put it out there, because that joke would have been that shit would have been slapping if he said, you know what I'm saying, the whole emancipation, the concussion thing. She, gets nominated for she's mad because I didn't, was supporting whatever. I wanted to host the Oscars and because he didn't get nominated for a concussion and then he gives me a concussion. Like the way that could have fell would have been dope as fuck. But I mean, shit happens. Still, it's still funny to think about. Just wish it was it was delivered that way on the first time. It's like the slam dunk contest. It's not the same when you see a crazy ass dunk the first try and then it gets done on the second. It was done on the first try, it would feel a lot better. But Chris Rock is one of the best, and I thought the stand-up was dope. Touched on hypergamy, touched on selective outrage, touched on the slap. Check it out when you can. How important is fitting into you? It used to be my life, and it drained the shit out of me because I just felt like I wasn't lovable. You know what I'm saying? Like for a very, very long time. And it's not easy to live this new way of living, this mentality. In parts of you, like your default will venture back into that people pleasing of trying to fit in. You're afraid to be alone in some way, shape, or form. So you have to be very, very mindful of how you allow yourself to kind of be carried, you know, in the world when you walk around. You know what I'm saying? How you talk to people, trying not to, you know, because they speak in Jamaican, you start talking Jamaican, or, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody's speaking in Spanish, you try to, you know, throw in a little bit of Spanish that you got. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like, it's all right to be you, nigga. Just relax, you know what I'm saying? And I can look back at a lot of times where I did shit like that, especially, you know what I'm saying? Like joining the military, being around my boys. You know, we got boys from like Miami, got boys from North Carolina, New Orleans. So these accents, you know what I'm saying? And then like picking up like this, like it started out as a joke, but after a while you start talking like you got that New Orleans accent and shit. That's it. Say it, bruh. Say, everybody want to go get something to eat? You know what I'm saying? Go fucking Walmart. Like, you get the accent bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Or like Atlanta being very big in hip hop. You know, wherever hip hop was going, that's where the fuck I was going. So like, hey, shout it, we're talking about shout it. Hey, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? What it do? Shit, shout it, all that shit. Like, again, taking on all of that, trying to be cool, trying to fit in, tribal people we are as humans. We want to fit in, but the more you try to fit in, the more invisible you become. And Jim Carrey's quote stays with me daily about that, you know what I mean? And I just try to, you know, I may overthink a lot of times, but I try to make sure that I'm not doing that shit. You know, again, going off on my own, just being me, you know what I'm saying? Like being me. And me is a very fluid concept because I create me every day. And not trying to sound, I don't need to sound street. I don't need to sound so intelligent. I don't need to sound so cool. Whatever comes up, I mean, you're not able to put me in a fucking box. I refuse to be in a box. I don't put myself in a box, but I have no control about people that do that. And like, you know, people say they're shocked that I knew this, shocked that, you know, I wore this, shocked that I said this, you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't put anybody in a fucking box. Let them create. And you do the same thing. Focus on you, create your own damn shit. But how important is it to fit in? I think you should be more focused about belonging versus fitting in. You know what I'm saying? Belonging means that you essentially are doing what you want to do and you guys just tend to gel. Fitting in is like, if I don't do what the fuck they doing, it's like a fraternity, a sorority, you know what I'm saying? But having the courage to be you is difficult for some. You know what I'm saying? Like having the courage to like what you like, regardless of the people around you. Like for us in the Black community, like if you like watching, you know, like if you, again, let's say for whatever reason, this guy likes to watch rom-coms or some shit, and, you know, being a Black guy in ours, you know, in our community, it's like, what the fuck we watching that soft ass shit for? Or being Black and you like house music or, you know what I'm saying, pop or anything that's mainly meant for white people, or if you're white and you like shit that's mainly for Black folk or Latin folk, you know what I'm saying? Have the courage to do that. You know, if you like something, you like it, it's your life. I said it's scary. It's scary doing, you know what I'm saying? You know, doing things that others don't want you to do or not comfortable with you doing. And it's all about you. It's all about you in this life. You know what I'm saying? You have to live for you, because if you don't, you're living for someone else and you're gonna be fucking miserable. And there's more than enough life to go around. You don't have to live your life for somebody else. Parents, encourage your children to be individuals, not be carbon copies of you. You know what I'm saying? I say that again. Encourage your children to be individuals, not do what you did. The world that you grew up in is not the same world that they're growing up in. You know what I mean? So for me to try to project my own beliefs and shit onto my daughter, it's selfish of me. She has her own life to live, and then, you know, trying to live for your parents is the worst thing you could ever fucking do. Because you have your own life. You're going to make mistakes. Are there things that, you know, our parents can inspire us on? Sure. But as far as like being, you know, just like them, No. I mean, inspire change. You may want to inspire change like they did, but you don't need to do exactly what I did in order to be loved in this world. You know what I'm saying? So like, whenever I talk to any child, I try to make it known to them that you can be yourself. You can be an individual. You know what I mean? And that's just my take on it. You know what I'm saying? As far as about fitting in, like the kids, I was having a talk with one of my friend's daughters, and she was telling me she's the weird kid in school, and I couldn't have been more happier. You know what I'm saying? When she told me that, because if you can take being the weird kid at a younger age, by the time you become an adult, you'll be living by your own terms. You're not living for other people. And that's half the time what a lot of us are doing as adults. We waste so much money. We waste so much time, so much stress, so much worry, you know what I'm saying, trying to fit in. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be like everybody else or whatever, instead of doing our own thing. And most people that make it as a success in this world are, become original. You know what I'm saying? Like George Washington Carver believed the nigga he could make motherfucking peanut butter. Everybody wasn't trying to make peanut butter. Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, all these people, you know what I'm saying? Was it Garrett Morgan, I think? The street light dude? Yeah. Black dude, you know what I'm saying? That made the street light. I'm sure people were like, nigga, you crazy if you think that you can do that. And these people set off and did what they wanted to do anyway. And now we revere them, you know what I'm saying, for doing what they did. And they're just as human as we are. You know what I'm saying? So like to not do something for fear of not being accepted. You don't want to look back on your life and be like, damn, I wish I would have did that. You want to attack it in the moment. You want to dare to do something great. Dare to be different. Dare to step out on your own. Dare I say, original. Step out of your comfort zone. Get the fuck out of it and like do something that's going to change the world. We all have a gift. Everybody has a story. And your story is going to help somebody heal. I promise you. Somebody has gone through something similar than what you've gone through. So it's just like being able to share that, being able to be someone that's going to help their fellow man, fellow woman. You know what I mean? Things that you've gone through and your life, heartbreak, letdown, you know what I'm saying? Joy. Let's not just talk about like the worst parts of life. Let's talk about some of the better parts of life, the joy. And some people can actually relate to it and see themselves in those, those patterns. But how important is it to fit in? I don't feel like it's important at all. But it's definitely a blessing if you belong to a group of your own. Which is the most difficult to manage for you? Your ego or porn addiction? Whew. Yeah, anchor deep on this one. Anchor deep. I would have to say the ego. Because if it wasn't for the ego, the porn addiction probably wouldn't even exist. And what I mean by ego is like believing that everything is about you. Feeling like the weight of the world is on you. Everything that happens in your life is like the people around you, and you're responsible for that. Somewhere along the way, I decided that I was responsible for every fucking thing. And it didn't help going to the fucking military and, they pretty much teach don't never leave a man behind. And, if you're the people that's under you, you know what I'm saying, being a supervisor, you're responsible for them fucking up. And when you come from something where you felt like nothing you did was good enough, like you just always tried your hardest to get what would be validation, starting out with your parents. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get your parents' validation and feeling like it never was enough. Like it was always pointed out what you did wrong versus, the things that you did, what you felt like you did right. Obviously there's no right and wrong. It's really just perspective. But being that young and the oldest, and again, I'm not a victim by any means, but just sharing where my perspective comes from and how I got into the whole situation of addiction and shit like that. But the ego creates this a lot of different things, and it can create narcissism. You know what I'm saying? And narcissism in a sense where you just feel like you can do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else is wrong but you. You know what I'm saying? You only see life through the way that you see it. And everything that happens, is about you. And I was caught in that world. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. There's still parts of me that still have, some narcissism, that I'm battling or whatever. But like really thinking that everything was about you, like it was all on you. The world was about you. The world revolved around you. Pretty much. And when you can see that in yourself, like when you detach yourself, you take a step back and you watch your past like it's a movie, and you see yourself. It's like the Christmas Carol, the ghost of Christmas past, and you're going back like, damn, man. Damn, that's what you look like? That's what you did? Like when you get the current knowledge and it falls on you. But that ego, at a very young age, just trying to be enough, man. And it just felt like you had to do something to be loved. And that's, I think, is where it's like a bottomless pit of trying to be accepted, trying to fit in. Again, we just talked about that. But that bottomless pit of the ego is never fucking satisfied. Never fucking satisfied. I don't give a fuck what you do. That ego will not allow you to be okay with what you've got. And you have to, you want to strive to be better daily, but you also want to be grateful for what you have. Because there's a lot of people praying for the shit that you already have. I don't care who you are. Somebody's praying for what you got. You know what I'm saying? And it's like having gratitude. And sometimes we as humans, we can forget that shit with the things that we have. There's people, you complaining about your child, and it's a woman that can't have a fucking baby no more. Or she can't have babies at all. You know what I mean? It's a nigga out there complaining about their father not doing this. And some people don't even have a father in their life. You know what I mean? It's people complaining about their job. It's people out there homeless. Like there's always going to be, somebody's got something, you know what I'm saying? More than you, less than you. And that's what I think life is trying to teach us, to be more grateful for the things that we have. Like having, again, a parent. Some people have it where their parents are so fucking annoying that they're reliable. And then there's others that have parents that are so unreliable, that are not there. And, you know what I'm saying, that are still children themselves, late into their 60s, 70s, you know what I'm saying? Mentally, they're still stuck at a traumatic age where something happened. And again, that ego, it's never satisfied. You always feel like you're not good enough. And because you feel like you're not good enough, you continue, how you treat yourself is how you're going to treat everybody else. So if you feel like you're not good enough, nobody else is going to be good enough for you. And it pushes you towards perfection. And I know throughout my life, I was always looking for perfection. I could not make mistakes. I felt like if I made mistakes, then I would not be loved. Love would be removed from me. And again, it's just how I felt based off of what I went through in my life. So the ego was difficult. I mean, the ego gets difficult to manage because you're not able to deal with mistakes. And when people see that you make mistakes, and being around people where you have made mistakes, and they throw that shit in your fucking face. So it makes you want to be even more like a perfectionist. You know what I mean? And so when you get to a point in your life where you don't have control anymore, here enters porn. And let me explain why. Because it was an escape. Like alcohol, like coke, like drugs, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's this world, right, where I couldn't make a mistake. So let's just say I'm with a girl, right? Because I'm still like very young. This is like late teens, early 20s, where I'm starting to get into relationships and shit. And I make mistakes. But I feel like the woman's gonna respond the way that the woman I saw growing up treated me when I made mistakes. You know what I'm saying? It was always held over my head. So when I would do things dealing with women and their emotions, I didn't like the way it felt. Like I got very ashamed. It was embarrassed. And I would almost like hide, you know what I'm saying? Whether in like a shell and shit, you know what I'm saying? So then here comes porn. And porn is this world of so many women, right? That you can see naked, you know, it's the internet. This is before like social media shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like typical Pornhub, X videos, whatever websites that I would go to. And I would literally create these fake ass relationships with these bitches, like in my mind, and I could control them. You see what I'm saying? That's another form of narcissism, thinking that you can control people. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not able to control them, then you don't want to be with them, you know? Yeah, dealing with the porn allowed me to get the satisfaction of ejaculation without having to deal with the fallback of emotions that would follow that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like being with the women that I chose to be with, you know, they felt like they own you if they fucked you. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that we both agreed to fuck, have sex, make love, whatever synonym you need to satisfy your fucking ego. You know what I'm saying? And so like once I saw that, I mean shit, I could watch porn. I can literally be having a bad day, wanna get off, and I ain't gotta worry about nobody nagging the fuck out of me. So that's where really my mind was. That's where it started, right? It's just an escape from the world. Anytime something going on, all right, let's go watch that shit. And then after a while, that shit became so implanted in the brain that I was doing it even when I didn't want to do it. And it's like trying to stop. Many times I could count. I don't know. There's so many times I tried to stop watching porn, but that shit just kept calling. Just be calling me. Fucking Pookie, New Jack City. It was calling me. You know what I'm saying? No matter how hard I tried to get away from that motherfucker, there would always be a new, it would always be like a new girl. And then once you find a new girl, like where her body looks, the way she sounds and shit, you're gonna go, let's go find what else she's done. All right, end up hours on end. And before you know it, you damn near got like seven or some shit in your head that you can just run off, you know what I mean, all the time. Whenever it happens, you just stay with it. And there's always something new. It's novelty. Novelty is always going to keep you coming back to it. You know what I'm saying? Like new clothes, new jackets, new shoes, new food, new fucking cologne, new music, all of that shit. And porn, like the dopamine effect on it is like triple what the fuck a new coat, a new shoe, any of that can bring. And it will fuck your brain up. It literally shrinks your fucking brain. It ignites, like when you get addicted to it, it ignites a level of shame that I don't think people are ready for. At least for me as a man. Like it literally just ignited so much shame. So you become so shamed that you feel like that you have to be stuck in this shit. So you were doing it to get away from it, and it only made your situation worse. So here I am battling this ego that I'm not good enough. And then I go into porn, which makes me feel even worse, you know what I'm saying, as far as whether or not I'm good enough and shit like that. I remember clowning when I first moved to Homestead. There was a guy that worked with us, and we used to joke about, he probably sits at home and watches porn all day. Like, because I wasn't watching, I never watched like porn jerked off before, you know what I'm saying? I'm 22, you know, when I moved to Homestead, and like, it really, it didn't register with me, you know. And then I got into a long distance relationship, and that individual taught me to practically masturbate. And I realized, shit, I could nut without having to deal with these emotions. I'm gonna get into this. All right, so let me look at porn. Replace the phone sex or the cyber sex, and let's just go straight to the porn. It's just me and however many million women that are in this this porn shit, right? And then it took on a life of its own, and it's like nothing felt the same. Everything was numb. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't come from girls sucking dick. It was just numb as fuck. Everything was fucking numb. Jerked off, couldn't do shit. Taking forever to nut myself. I mean, previous relationship I was in, two previous relationships. You know what I'm saying? She felt like that. She even said it. She was like, he's got a porn addiction. And I'm like, damn, she can see it. If she can see it, then who else can see it? You know, it's just so many different things that were going on in my head. And it really fucked up my brain. It just really, I believe it really did. So like trying to battle that, which is more difficult, I want to say that it's more difficult to manage the ego because the ego played a part into entering into the porn addiction. But the beauty of it is awareness. You know what I'm saying? I talk about these things in therapy all the time. I talk about it with whoever, you know what I'm saying, about addiction, period. You know what I'm saying? That when you find yourself addicted to something, it means you're doing something when you don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, people drinking when they don't really want to drink. They're smoking when they really don't want to smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like the porn addiction just really made me look at, again, women just, you know, using them. You know what I'm saying? And it's not something I'm proud of by any means, but that is just the impacts, the effects of what it has on your brain. You know what I'm saying? And you learn from it. You do your best to learn from it. You remember that you're human. You put it out there on Front Street. You face yourself. You put it, you know what I'm saying? Once you talk about it, shame can only hold up behind you. It can never hold up in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like being able to talk about the things that you're not so proud of. And it can inspire others to do the same. But overall, man, both ego and the porn addiction are a struggle. They both are a struggle. For me, and I try to remember to remain human and remember that, again, you know what I'm saying, to love yourself unconditionally, to maintain, you know, that like that of the soul and not of the ego. Remember to be human. Anytime you try to be more than human, you fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like when you allow your ego to drive the wheel versus the soul, the human, you know what I mean? And you believe that you're more important than you really are. And there's nothing more important than just being human, because that's all we are. We're just human. But overall, man, it's been a journey. I'm still going through it all. You know what I mean? I bear it for the world to see, and hopefully you can learn from me. But what's more difficult, ego or the porn addiction? Ego.